Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is back from the weekend on a Monday. 2.5 hours of sports talk coming your way this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, and online at 580WIBW.com. We are also live in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis, the gang's all here for the next 2.5 hours, where we will make way for Royals baseball at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour pregame coverage from the Bronx on the Royals Baseball Network at 5:30, ahead of a 6:05 first pitch as the Royals begin a 3-game series against the team that eliminated them from the 2024 American League playoffs. So in the interim, we got 2.5 hours, and we've got a lot to get to on this Monday edition of the program. Thank you so much for being along for the ride. We will talk some Royals baseball on the program today. Royals with an ugly offensive weekend, but bailed out and earned one win on Sunday thanks to the work of their bona fide ace and their stopper, Cole Ragans. We got some numbers on him that are very impressive, as Ragans delivered an outstanding outing in yesterday's 4-2 win over the Guardians in Cleveland. We got Mock Draft Monday, second installment of Mock Draft Monday coming up in just a little bit. We'll see what Brendan's got cooking for Mock Draft Monday today.
10 days.
We are
draft
10 days out of the NFL draft.
Hell yeah.
I am unprepared, but I will get there.
Are you ready? Do you have your draft party ready to go? All your draft themed snacks, play at home draft themed games. Asher have his draft clothes outfit ready.
We could put him in a football onesie. He may have outgrown. Football's obviously a fall sport.
Yes.
And so a lot of his football themed outfits were, long sleeve, fall-ish. It also means they were sized for a much smaller boy than Asher is now.
By the time we tried to put Lexi in her football, or my daughter in her football themed outfit, it was already too small. So I sympathize with you.
Yeah,
that went by the boards very quickly.
Yes, the draft party will be hoping that nothing happens in the half an hour in which we'll put Asher to bed that night, that Thursday night. Next Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but the Thursday following the NFL draft. So we've got 2 more mock draft Mondays today and next Monday. We got mock draft Monday. We got a couple more 7-round Chiefs mock drafts from the World Wide Web that we are going to put up against each other. Some interesting players and some interesting similarities too.
The real sicko stuff, the 7-rounder. You've got to really be, on the brink of probably something terrible in your life to want to commit to 7 rounds.
Any joker can do a 32 pick 1-round mock draft.
We'll do that,
as evidenced by the fact that I have done it many, many times. Even a first 2 days mock draft, there's some effort in putting together a 3-round mock. When you get to the 7-round mocks, that is the level of commitment and dedication that is reserved for, the Jesse Newells of the world.
Yes.
And when we say that, we say it with admiration. A, because Jesse is a friend of the program, and B, because his is one of the 7-round mock drafts we'll be looking at a little bit later on when we do get to Mock Draft Monday in the 4 o'clock hour. We will also, and I know Brendan's very excited about this, we're going to talk some golf because the Masters was over the weekend and Rory McIlroy won it finally. And it very obviously, I don't know what your Twitter /X /Blue Sky /any other social platform timeline that you were looking at looked like on Sunday, but there were a lot of people who were really into the golf on my timeline.
Couldn't escape it.
And a lot of people who were really into the idea of Rory McIlroy finally winning that golf tournament. And hand up, so was I. And not just because it continues an incredible bit in which I have now correctly picked the Masters champion 3 consecutive years.
Very impressive.
Listen, once is an accident, twice is a trend. You know what 3 times is? I might be a seer at this
fact.
point. Yeah, it might just be I am America's leading Masters tout.
There you go.
Please do not ask me about any of the other picks I gave out. America's leading Masters tout has delivered you the winner 3 consecutive years. But beyond that, the idea of Rory winning that tournament seemed to mean a lot to a lot of people. And we'll talk about it because it was a very compelling golf tournament. a very compelling sporting event, the kind of sporting event that embodied the "it's so over, we're so back" dichotomy, perhaps better than any sporting event I can recall in recent memory. And it called to mind a memory from a different individual sport from my childhood in a way that I thought was really resonant. So we'll talk a little golf later on in the program.
I will tell you this. I watched it. I watched off and on. I'll say that. I had nap time duty for part of Sunday afternoon. Okay. So I threw up the old YouTube TV app on my phone and watched it while the little one was sleeping. I didn't watch the playoff. I think I tuned in when Rory was on the 13th and missed a couple other ones mixed in there as well. But I did watch some selection of golf. Trevor on YouTube says, can't get behind watching the golf. I'm sorry. Trevor, you're among friends here. I'm glad I watched it. I have gotten my fill for the year,
you're
but
not
I'm
going to be dialed in next week when the tour resumes.
Well, the one thing, the funny thing about that,
you're not going to be in on a RBC Heritage next weekend.
In Hilton Head, I've been on that golf course like 20 times in my life because my family, my whole life growing up, that was our vacation spot. Was Hilton Head, the shot of the lighthouse and everything.
Sure.
I've eaten at the restaurant at the lighthouse like 25 times. Like I've been there. I have pictures with my wife standing on the 18th green.
Harbor Town, yeah.
So yes, I always tune in a little bit to that. Just say, oh yeah, we're going on vacation there this summer. It's very fun.
Yeah.
So I like that comes after the Masters, but I will watch 10 minutes again next April when the Masters rolls around.
And look, yeah, there are a lot of like the Masters is so you know how you have the C&E church attendees, people that go to church on Christmas?
The Creasters. Yeah.
Yes. I've heard C&E, people got different names for them. But you have like people who attend on the big days for church, and then like, the third Sunday of the month of September, I don't know, Sunday NFL Countdown's on. Like it's one of those. I feel like there are a lot of the
got some prayer to do right now.
Some secondary sports like auto racing, horse racing, golf, boxing that are like event sports for the casual fan. Like I will dial in if there is a capital E event happening.
That's me with the UFC.
Okay.
Like if there's a big time event, I will and I know the competitors, I will find a way to observe. Boxing too. Like if like Terrence Crawford's boxing tonight. All right. I'll Deontay Wilder at his peak. All right. I'll find a way to watch this.
I pirated a Pacquiao fight or two in my time. Like, I sailed the open seas to watch Pacquiao fight.
If you heard some of the URLs of websites where I watched WWE pay-per-views back in the day,
right,
you would be horrified.
But yeah, it's an event sport for a lot of people. So we don't come here to shame anybody who the only golf they watch is the Masters. Like I'm
not going to shame myself.
I don't blame anybody for that. But if you saw it yesterday, if you saw it over the weekend, you saw incredibly compelling sports, and you saw something pretty cool with Rory McIlroy finally getting over that hump and winning the Masters. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Plus, we got our headlines. We got another round of What Is Wrong With You. We'll do Good, Bad, Ugly a little bit later on this hour. It's a jam-packed show. We've only got 2.5 hours to get it done, so we appreciate you being with us here on 580 Sports Talk. Hello to everybody in the already active 580 Sports Talk YouTube chat. If you are watching the show live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, jump on in the live chat. There are a lot of you. Too many to name almost. Already jumping in today with your thoughts. We appreciate you. Mark H., Trevor, Tyler, Jeffrey's in, Vance, Joe in as well, and we appreciate all of you. And appreciate everybody else who will check out the show on our YouTube channel. Again, 580 Sports Talk. You can be a part of the live chat on the web browser or the mobile device. You can also text the program today. Want to hear from you via text. 785-272-9429 is that number, 785-272-9429. Wasn't a fun weekend of Royals baseball. Disappointment on Friday. I don't know how Gabriel Arias hit that pitch out off Chris Bubich on Friday, particularly to the opposite field on a cold night in Cleveland in April. Unbelievable. That guy hit 2 opposite field home runs in the series. Unbelievable. But that was the defining, those were the defining swings of the first 2 games of the series. Royals falling on Friday night. Then on Saturday, the 6-3 final score, deceiving, I think, in multiple ways. One, the Royals got a couple of their runs in the ninth inning, and two, Sam Long got involved to give up a couple of runs before going on the injured list with an elbow injury that I'm sure is extremely legitimate.
The old have a terrible outing gets put on the IL the next day.
Well, I don't know if he's out of options or not, but if he is, that's a clever way to work around that, because clearly Sam Long could not be part of the Royals bullpen at present the way that he was performing. But never fear, the Royals had their stopper on the bump on Sunday, and that is Cole Ragans. Over the last two seasons, so first half month of this season, going back to last year when he really assumed the mantle as the Royals staff ace, Ragans has started following a Royals loss 17 times, and in 12 of those outings, he has delivered a quality start. And in at least one of those 5 times where he has not done that, that was the game against Milwaukee on April 2nd, where it wasn't a quality start because he didn't go 6 innings, but he had 5 one-hit innings with 10 strikeouts. That start back on April 7th started the current stretch that Ragans is on, in which he has become the second Royal ever and first since Kevin Appier in 1996 with double-digit strikeouts in 3 consecutive starts. Cole Ragans, as it currently stands, leads the American League in what I'm told the pitching staff for the Royals is calling punchies at the present. I don't know if I love that term.
I hate it so much.
It doesn't sound real good coming off the tongue. But Cole Ragans is your American League punchy leader with 34 of them in 23 and 2/3 innings. It also makes him the strikeouts per 9 leader in the league. He's also only walked 4 batters in that stretch, 1.5 walks per 9 innings. And this is what we have to confront now, 4 starts into his age 27 season. Is the ace of the Royals getting better? Because I think he might be.
One, to make you feel old, the third of those 3 double-digit strikeout games in a row for Kevin Appier happened the day after my 2nd birthday.
Oh, wow.
On September 3rd of 1996, in case you wanted to feel old. Spencer was not alive.
Nope,
in case you really wanted to feel old. I think it's certainly possible that he is getting better at this point. I mean, consider the amount, or the very small amount of baseball that Cole Ragans has played in his career. He's been in the bigs since 2022. That season, he made 9 appearances. In 23, he made 29 appearances. That's when he was traded to the Royals. He pitched only in relief for the Rangers that year. All 12 of his starts came with Kansas City. Did have a full season last year, and then just the 4 starts so far this year. He hasn't played a lot. He's been through the injury problems, obviously, with the double Tommy John. He's only 27 years old, and hasn't played all that much baseball. A grand total of 57 career starts at this point. Yeah, it's absolutely within the realm of possibility that this dude is only getting better. And again, I said this a bunch at the end of last year, and I think it applies again here this year. I really like what the Royals have done coaching staff-wise with their pitching lab, and I think they have found ways to develop a fountain of youth for the older folks like Waka and Lugo. Yeah, the guys walking into the crypt right now at 35 years old. But, they found ways to get those guys back to a younger form, and it's helping Cole Ragans look like a legitimate bona fide ace. I mean, that has been what he has been all season. I'm looking at the advanced numbers from Baseball Savant right now that we have talked about this website a bunch before. And if you've never looked at it, it can be overwhelming. But if you like the advanced data, it's awesome. There's all sorts of good stuff. A lot of red is good. A lot of blue is bad. Well, there's a whole lot of red on Cole Ragans' page right now.
Like a Playboy Cardi album.
Yeah, the fastball is elite. The breaking stuff and the off-speed stuff, well above average. The expected batting average is great because he doesn't give up a lot of hard hit stuff. I mean, this is a guy who we need to, around baseball, he should be talked about as a bona fide ace. I was having a conversation during the offseason with my group of friends, guys I've been friends with since high school or grade school or whatever. And we were talking about the Royals, and they asked, how good are they going to be next year? And I said, well, Bobby Witt is almost certainly not going to be as good, but he should still be an MVP caliber player because that's what I think he can be. And I think they've got one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. And I met some pushback because they didn't watch the Royals all year. Like, are you sure about that? Like, he was good, but is he that good? Yes. Guys, he is that good. And as long as he stays healthy, I have no reason to believe he will not continue to be that good.
What I really like about Ragans is how well he pitches off of his fastball. And this is like the evolution. Every power pitcher goes through this. Like, this is obviously lofty company to put Ragans in because this guy is going to the Hall of Fame one day. But if you remember young Justin Verlander coming out throwing everything 100 miles per hour, and there have been pitchers who've talked about this, you almost have to earn the right to be able to take a little bit off of your fastball. Mm-hmm. You have to earn the right to earn that trust from your coaching staff that you don't have to redline it all the time with your fastball. You don't have to be throwing max effort, max velocity single time. Cole Ragans averages 95.5 miles an hour with his fastball. It's actually a couple of ticks up from his average velocity from last season. He's throwing it over 50% of the time so far, which has never been the case for him. But it's been one of the most effective pitches in baseball, even though he's not always reaching back for 97, 98. He can get you to swing and miss on 93, 94 because of the way the pitch moves and his willingness to work that pitch up in the zone. I love the way Royals pitchers, Chris Bubich is really good at this. They attack up in the zone. That's a tough pitch for a hitter to drive out of the ballpark. Now, up in the zone and like belt high, obviously two different things, but you're working that top of the zone. The way hitters swing now, the way hitters build their swings, it's really tough. Unless you're like a tall, hulking like Aaron Judge. It's really tough to catch that pitch up around your letters and get it up with authority and drive it to the gap, drive it out of the ballpark. So working up in the zone with your fastball, I think, is extremely valuable. And Cole Ragans does it about as well as any pitcher in the game. He also has done a really nice job mixing up his other off-speed deliveries this year, using the knuckle curve a little bit more, which I think is a really good pitch for him, that he can throw to both left-handers and right-handers. Obviously, the changeup is a major weapon against righties. That's such a separator for him. Having an out pitch, a swing and miss pitch to opposite hand hitters is such a big deal. And all of these statistical trends are going in the right direction for Ragans through these first 4 starts of 2025. Right now, he looks Cy Young good.
And if you want to talk about being in command on a batter-to-batter, plate appearance basis, something that I always look at, and I put personally a lot of weight on, is how often are you throwing first pitch strikes? How often are you getting ahead, and how often are you able to pitch from a position of strength? Cole Ragans right now, 65.6% of the time, he is throwing first pitch strikes. That's nearly 7 percentage points higher than last year, and it's the best of his career. It's a really good number. If you're, 2 of every 3 batters starting ahead, that's a pretty good spot to be in. So that's something that I put a lot of weight in. Last year, it was actually the lowest of his, again, brief career, under 59% of the time. So the fact that he is attacking and it is working so far, really, really big deal. He's getting more swing and miss stuff, too. Almost 5% more often. He's getting guys to swing and miss at the first pitch, which is really impressive.
20 swinging strikes yesterday out of his only 89 pitches. He only need 89 pitches to get through 7 2/3. And if that had been a minor hamstring cramp, he might have been able to finish the 8th and who knows, maybe even finish the ball game. Thankfully for the Royals, Lucas Erceg able to clean up that final out of the 8th. And after allowing a hit, Estevez struck out the side for his 5th save. Offense is not a lot more fun to talk about right now for the Royals. They're still in a funk. But consider this. The Royals are 8-8, and the offense hasn't gotten going at all. And, like, on April 14th, I think that's fine. I think that's a little bit what you would expect, that when the lineup struggles. And this is not a top-end lineup in the American League. And there are going to be moments if Bobby Witt Jr. is the only guy going, with respect to Maikel Garcia, who had the game untying hit and continues to hit 300 early on this season. With respect to those guys, this is not an offense that's firing on anything like all cylinders. They have a team OPS plus, according to Baseball Reference, of 74. They have been, as a team, more than a quarter worse than league average offensively, but they're 500. You don't love being 2-4 against Cleveland for tiebreaker purposes already, but this is about what we thought it would be, that when the offense struggled, the pitching and the bullpen could be good enough to float it and keep it treading water. That was a strength of this team last year. It's what allowed it to contend and make the postseason. They didn't have those long losing streaks. They didn't get swept. They didn't lose a bunch of series in a row because they were able to get a solid pitching performance and pick up some wins here and there, even as the offense struggled to get going. And that's what they've done through this early stretch of games. Now, going to New York. That's not going to be a picnic. Obviously, that it's a Yankees lineup that has been very productive, even though they're only 8-7 on the season, and hard to pitch in the closet, the Little League ballpark that Yankee Stadium is. But maybe this is an opportunity for the Royals to get going, see some balls leave the fence, and gain a little bit of confidence.
I don't want to say I have no problems, but if this is what the Royals are going to have to do to stay afloat for the first few weeks of the season until the offense figures it out, I'm not sweating it because I have a lot of faith in this pitching staff. I feel pretty good about it.
I do as well. And as I pointed out in our show notes, I was doing a little just looking at standings today, and there's no American League team that has more than 9 wins entering today's games.
That is true.
I feel a lot better about the Royals with 8-8 right now.
Yeah, no,
than I would in maybe a year where there's a team with 14, 12, 10, 11, up double-digit wins so far.
We keep saying it. You don't win pennants in April. You can lose them. You can be a mess like Minnesota or the White Sox, who are an entirely expected mess. You can be in a bit of a crisis if you're Baltimore at 6-9. But yeah, only 4 teams with 9 wins, and one of them is the Angels. That's how early we are in this thing.
Although the White Sox taking, 2 or 3 from Boston after the Red Sox commentary team pretty much talked about how much they were excited to play the White Sox because they knew they would win. Awesome.
That was funny.
That was great.
Yes, extremely funny.
Karma.
Stuff.
What are we going to do about your boy Melendez?
MJ Melendez, 3 for 39 with 16 strikeouts so far this season.
DFA.
No, you don't DFA a player with options, Spencer. You send him down to Omaha. You try and get him right. And I think it's the move when Canna's healthy, presuming that he's going to be healthy soon, presuming that he can come off the injured list close to that 10-day mark. I think that has to be the move at this point. I mean, Drew Waters, I'm not super excited, super keen on Drew Waters, but at least I know he's got a good glove, a capable glove.
Yeah.
And MJ Melendez just isn't up there with any confidence right now. And you need to see if that can be rebuilt. And if it can't, then it can't. But you need to pull. It's the last button to push, right? They pushed the button with Moustakas a decade ago. It's the same deal. And send him to Omaha a couple of weeks, see if that gets him right. Again, it worked for him. I don't know. I can't guarantee results, but that's the last button left to push with Melendez. You can't keep putting him out there.
You have to hope that seeing the bat hit the ball and putting it in play against anyone is going to rebuild some confidence and make him think, I can do this still. And if that doesn't work, then, his career will not continue in Kansas City long term.
He'll be a great Kansas City T-Bone or Monarch. I guess they're the Monarchs.
You're the Monarchs now. Yeah.
We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back with the good, the bad, the ugly from the sports weekend that was. Then Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joined us at the bottom of this hour to talk some football and some draft. That's all coming up. We're just getting started on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. ugly from the sports weekend that was my good Sunday at the Masters, one of the sporting events I just knew as I was watching it. I would remember forever. Good that Rory won it. Even better that Bryson DeChambeau did not. And that fat phony shot a 75 and dunked 2 balls in the water at Amen Corner. Good riddance. You didn't have the Bryson bros in your corner like you do at some other events. This is Augusta where gentlemen play, not goofy YouTubers.
Hey, and he was all salty because Rory was locked in and didn't want to have conversation.
Yeah, what a jabroni.
Yeah,
Get
come
Bryson
on.
out of my face. Big phony.
My good and bad both pertain to my favorite baseball team. The good comes to 2 or 3 from the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine this weekend, and in pretty fun fashion, Pete Crow Armstrong put the ball in play successfully 3 times in one game. That's like catching Haley's Comet with your bare hand.
He didn't put it in play. He put it over.
Oh, well, yeah, put it into the
seat.
2 homers and a triple. I couldn't believe my eyes. That was good. The bad is our ace is out for the year with probably Tommy John, some sort of elbow reconstruction, Justin Steele. That sucks, man. That damn near ruined my Sunday.
Tough blow for him. You got a good, Spencer?
Yeah, I echo yours. It's Rory McIlroy being able to finish that career grand slam, and just the way that it was kind of like a typical Rory game where he's got to leave it in doubt for a while and then make it go to the playoff and just everything. Also good on the non-sports related thing. I finally did indeed try the pad. Very good
for you.
Delicious.
Do you have a bad?
Yes, the Washington Nationals.
My bad. So my 10-month-old son is very curious, and one thing he likes to do is push buttons. And we thought,
literally, not figurative.
Not figurative. Not yet. Many years ahead where he's going to learn how to do that in a figurative sense. But no, we thought since the TV wasn't on, there was no harm in him like handling our remote control. And we got a bill in an email. Our son had rented the film Mickey 17 on demand. That cost us $20.
Oh.
So we are in the process trying to get a refund from Cox. My wife was in discussions with them, explaining to them, we've never rented anything on demand. This is obviously a mistake. Our son did this. We didn't even watch the movie. It ran like in the background apparently for like until like the final 18 minutes. I guess Asher really wanted to see Mickey 17. So you'll have to let him know how it ends. And you'll have to let me know how it is because I'm never going to know because I want my money back. Anyway, that was my bad. You got an ugly?
Yeah, my ugly is everything going on at Tennessee. I have what I think is actually a fairly hot take about the Nico Iamaleava saga. Here's the real ugly though. Very online Tennessee fans thinking that they're going to lure Avery Johnson into the transfer portal just because they're Tennessee. Newsflash, no. Not going to happen, online Vol fan. Not going to happen.
If you wouldn't pay up for Nico Iamaleava, you're not paying up for a better quarterback. I have terrible news for you on that front. An ugly, Spencer.
I don't have one.
Good.
I guess I'll go, okay. Ugly is how the Washington Capitals are playing down the stretch.
Well, who cares? They got the number 1 seed locked up. They don't worry about that. Worry about that later on.
I saw the Avs game last night. I turned it on right at the start of the 3rd period.
Yeah, they had like 10 guys who aren't even going to play in the playoffs out there last night. They still beat the Ducks, which is very
wild.
My ugly from the weekend. I know it was a tough weekend for the Nationals, Spencer, but did they score any runs this weekend?
I don't think they did.
No, they did. They scored.
They
scored 4 yesterday.
Yeah,
they scored more. I mean, James Wood carried my fantasy team to victory.
That's
this
true. Yeah,
they did. They scored some runs, and the Cubs they scored a lot of runs. They scored 16 on Saturday. Was it Saturday?
Yeah, 20 in the last 2 games.
Yeah, the Rockies didn't score any in 3 games in San Diego. The first team to get shut out in all 3 games of a 3-game series since the 2017 Royals. Disgusting. Matt Verderame joins us next. We're talking football on 580 Sports Talk after this timeout. We are joined in the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also part of That Football Show and the KC Sports Network, and owner-operator of his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Joins us every Monday at this time to talk all things NFL. And, Matt, speaking of That Football Show, you were on an episode recently in which you staked a lot on the claim that the Chiefs would not draft an offensive lineman in the first round. Is that more a belief in what the Chiefs have assembled, or that their plan for the offensive line is in motion outside of the early rounds of this draft? Or is that more of a remark about the quality of offensive line prospects that would be available to the Chiefs at number 31?
I think it's a remark that kind of reflects both things. I mean, look, my personal feeling on it is, if you've talked to people, as I have, around the league, I am yet to find one human being in the NFL who's like, this is a great class for tackles. There are people who believe that this is a class that has some depth to it. There are some people who believe maybe it's a little bit underrated compared to kind of the shellacking it's taken nationally. But I don't think there's anybody who works in the league, in a personnel department, in a front office, who's looking at this class and saying, this is a really good class of tackles. And so that's part of it. Another part of it is the Chiefs gave Jalen Moore 2 years and $30 million, which is not an enormous sum of money by tackle standards, but it is starting money. Like, they're not going to sit that guy on the bench this year. That's not going to happen. So they have their tackles. They have him. They have Jawan Taylor. Now, after this year, they could move on from Taylor and save $20 million. I would expect at this point that's what would probably happen. And I think with the left tackle situation with Moore, it just depends on how he plays. They could move on if they needed to. They'd rather not. And I just look at the board and say, they need a D tackle next to Chris Jones. You could argue they need another receiver based on the fact that Worthy and Rice, the only two guys under contract after this year. You could argue that they could use an edge rusher with a lot of those guys like Amenahu being up after this year and Dana, who might be cut after this year. Those are all bigger needs with better pools of players to pick from than tackle. And Simmons is the guy out of Ohio State. Everybody's seemingly just falling all over themselves to put it with the Chiefs. Could it happen? It could. I'm not reporting they won't do it. I have a hard time thinking that they're going to take a guy who's got 33-inch arms, who's got questions about his maturity off the field, his want to in terms of football, and he's coming off a torn patella. I just think those are a lot of things to overcome to make a guy a first-round pick.
As you pointed out during that, Matt, there are a lot of things that the Chiefs could use coming out of this draft. Young, cost-controlled talents at certain positions, given the fact that you've got a bunch of guys going to be out of contract either after this season or after next. With that being said, does it feel like maybe the smart play for Brett Veach might be to try and trade back and add some draft capital, particularly in the top 100 if he can?
Yeah, I mean, if he can, I think, and that's going to be the thing. A lot of teams are going to try to trade back in this class. And the question is, can you find a dance partner? Now, the Chiefs and the Eagles being at 31, 32, they're in advantageous positions because they can dangle that 50-year option to teams. Teams that maybe are sitting at 35, 36, 37 that want to get a 50-year option on a guy, especially if they're trying to trade back in for a guy like a quarterback, like a Jackson Dart, somebody like that. Yes, I think, and that might be if the Chiefs were to take an offensive tackle, that might be how I could see them doing it. If they're going to take a guy really early, is maybe they trade back to 40 and they say, okay, we'll take Josh Connerly Jr. at 40. Okay, I could see that because now you've also added picks and you've done other things. The problem I have with the thought process behind the tackle more than anything else is that guy's not playing this year. I just don't see any world where a tackle is coming in and playing for the Chiefs as a starter, barring injury this season. And so you've got to look at that and go, okay, so that guy's not helping. They're trying to win a Super Bowl now. Kelsey's probably in the last year of his career. Amenahu's up for free agency again after this. Watson's up for free agency after this year. Leo Chenal's up for free agency. Dana and Tranquil are not up for free agency. This could be their final year with the team. Certainly the case with Jawan Taylor. You've got Pacheco in his final year. Hunt's in his final year. I mean, they're not a team that's sitting there hoping to win a playoff game this year. Like, they are always all in. I just have a hard time seeing them take a guy in the first round that, at bare minimum, is not playing this year.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He joins us every Monday at this time as we go around the NFL with the national NFL writer for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. You can also find him on the Matt Verderame Show on his Patreon page and That Football Show at the KC Sports Network. Matt joining us via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Dan and I, Matt, have both been in the camp that defensive line, interior defensive line especially, feels like the best value spot for the Chiefs should they stay at 31. I think there are a number of guys who could be day one starters or at least day one rotational guys who will be available at the end of the first round. Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, etc. Is there a guy from that position group you think is the best possible fit for the Chiefs if they stay at 31 and decide to address the trenches on the defensive side?
So, first off, I agree. I think all things equal, that's what they're going to do. That's what I think is coming. Now, I don't know if he's going to be there. To me, Walter Nolan's the best of those guys. I mean, look, Mason Graham's going to be the first D tackle off the board. He'll be a top 5-6 pick. Nolan, it feels like he's getting a lot of momentum, might be even being like the teens. But if he got even to 25, 20, I wonder if the Chiefs would trade up and pick him. I just think he's a perfect fit for their defense. Now, that said, I'm a big fan of Derek Harmon. I think he's a really good player. I think he is a very good fit for what they do. I think he's a guy who under Joe Cullen could really blossom star. Kenneth Grant is 330-plus pounds. He's much more of that big body, eat up blockers, penetrate against the run, push the pocket against the pass. But he, you know, I mean, he's kind of more, I'm not saying he's going to be as good of a player, but like a Vita Vea type where he's going to just eat space and clog the middle. I think if you're the Chiefs, though, that is the biggest need you have. If you look at the roster right now and say, okay, what is the biggest single need this team has right this second? It's that. It's a D tackle next to Chris Jones, because everybody else, I could argue they already have every other starter on the team. I don't think they have a starter next to Jones because Jerry Tillery and Mike Cannell are fine, but they're rotational players or depth guys. They need somebody to replace Wharton. Beyond that, you know, I think they're pretty set in most spots, and I don't think it's a coincidence, by the way, that Brett Veach essentially left that as the one spot that they need to fill on a starter, because that's the deepest position in the draft, along with running back and tight end. And I think a running back's probably coming on day 2.
Speaking of running backs, what a perfect segue, Matt. We talked about some of the guys, you know, round 3, 4, 5 last week who might fit with the Chiefs. The running back class overall, we know it's a strong one. Ashton Genty at the top. I mean, the dude is a monster. He deserves to be a, top 10, top 12 pick, whatever he ends up being. Right. He's great. A lot of folks really like Marion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. I think there's a very good chance he's a first-round pick, maybe higher than a lot of people expect given the value of running backs these days. Where is the drop-off in the running back class? Because every position group has it. You've got the guys at the very top, the elite tier, and then a drop-off to the next group. I think Genty is better than Hampton for sure. I think Hampton is the clear number 2. Where is the talent drop-off in that class?
Yeah, I think it's Genty and then a step down and then Hampton. And then it's probably for me like a half step down. I don't think it's a full step. And then it's the kids out of Ohio State. It's Travion Henderson. It's Quishon Judkins. I think R.J. Harvey of UCF is in that group. I think he belongs to Caleb Johnson of Iowa. I think belongs in that group. And then I think it's another tier down after that. Then you start getting into maybe these guys who are going to be more, pick 75 and back. I think there's a very good chance you get 8 to 10 running backs first 100 picks in this draft. I think you probably, my guess is probably around 8. But there's a lot. There are a lot of guys. And I think, this is a class where maybe even if you're the Chiefs, maybe even take Dover. Maybe you take one in the second round or early third pick. Maybe one of your 3 7th rounders is another running back. Because running back is one of those positions you could find a guy in the 7th round, especially in this class. I mean, Pacheco is a 7th rounder. You could find a guy who you draft in the 7th round. It's like, we'll see what he is. And he gets in the camera. Like, wow, this guy better than we thought he was. He fits perfectly in the offense. So, I think to me, it's Genty on his own tier. And then it's Hampton, to me, kind of at the top of tier 2. I don't know that I'd even put Henderson and Judkins in a different tier. I just think Hampton's better than those guys. But Judkins is kind of my guy in this draft. I just look at that kid. He was great at Ole Miss. Then he went to Ohio State, had to learn a new offense, had to get behind Travion Henderson on the depth chart, still put up 1,000 yards. He's a big, fast, powerful guy. I think Judkins can be a really, really good player.
I have fallen in love with the idea of Shedeur Sanders falling to the Steelers at 21. I think it's a great fit. I think if you ever had any concerns about, is the Dion, Coach Prime, circus, sideshow going to come to town? You don't have to worry about that with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. I love that fit. What are the odds that he slides that far? And do you think now with the new surprising news about Derek Carr that Sanders may be back in play for a top 10 pick?
So, look, what I'm going to say is just what you hear around the league, and God only knows because it's draft season and that's lying season or whatever else. There are a lot of people in the league that think the Saints are in love with Jackson Dart. Is he? Or are they? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's one of the. They could be putting that out there. It's a smoke show. I mean, that stuff is. You hear that stuff. Sometimes it's true, and sometimes you end up looking back and laughing because they passed the guy 3 times. But there is real talk that like the Saints, that Jackson Dart is kind of a guy they look at and they really like. Now, would they take him at 9? I think that's very aggressive. Do they think it's aggressive? I don't know. I will say this about Sanders, and my colleague at SI, Albert Breer, a great piece out, talking about kind of, look, the Browns probably not going to take him. Giants might not take Sanders. I know when I was at the owners' meetings, a lot of people talking about the Browns have not taken him. That is not the route that they're expected to go, that they're more in that Hunter, Bill Carter camp. I would expect it to be more Hunter than Carter with them, but we'll see. The real pivot point to watch here, if Sanders gets past the Saints, that could be free fall time, because I don't know before Pittsburgh who would take him. Now, obviously, you always, you can trade up, make a move like that, but if you look at the board, I don't think he's going anywhere in the teens. I don't think that's happening. And so I think he could fall to Pittsburgh. And if you're Pittsburgh, I think if you're at 21, are you just kind of compelled at that point now? They also felt compelled a couple of years ago to take Kenny Pickett right in that same area. And that didn't work out. Do you just say, look, we got to do it? Yeah, maybe. Sanders is the biggest story in this draft to me. I could see him being a top 5 pick. I could see him being there when the Chiefs are on the clock. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him.
We're joined by Matt Verderame here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, is there a guy you think maybe a 3rd, 4th rounder that could come in next year for a team and just completely dominate? Is there a guy that you have on your boards that's kind of a sleeper guy?
There's nobody in maybe in that range that I'd sit there and say that guy's going to come in and just set the world ablaze. I do think this is a draft with a lot more depth. Like, people have talked about how, this is bad class. And talking to people around the league, I don't believe that. I don't think most people do. I think the thought process is it's not a very good draft to have a top 10 pick. It is a very good draft to be loaded with picks in day 2 and early day 3. And, I think, look, if you're going to find that guy, maybe, I mentioned R.J. Harvey earlier, running back at the UCF. I think he's a guy that can go in the 3rd round. He could be a really good player. There are receivers in this class that you look at and go, okay, I don't know, that the guy's going to go top 50, but could be interesting. I look at a couple different kids out of Iowa State. Jalen Noel, somebody who I think, he might go top 50. Does he fall out of there? He's an interesting kid. You look at a tight end. Tight end is really deep. Everybody knows about Warren and Loveland out of the Big Ten. I look at Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, who, again, he's probably a 2nd round pick. Maybe falls in a 3rd because of concerns over the knee, missed a couple of years. But last year, he was Cam Ward's top target, and he was excellent, and he was awesome at the Senior Bowl. I think those types of guys are the guys. And then also, too, they're, again, more 2nd rounders, but a guy like Nick Scouridon out of Texas A&M, who a lot of people thought coming into this year was going to be a top 15 pick, and that didn't really materialize. I could see him going mid to late 2nd round and being a guy who we're like, man, that guy had 10 sacks as a rookie. Like, if he finds the right system, if he gets in the right spot. So there's a lot of Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. I think could be really good. Great college player. I can see him being a 3rd round pick being good. So there's a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys who could come in and contribute, I think, meaningfully right away.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, and joins us every Monday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week on Draft Week.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame for joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. We've got an hour and a half left after we break for the national and local news. As again, we'll break away for Royals baseball, the Royals Baseball Network pregame coverage from the Bronx and Yankee Stadium starting at 5:30 before tonight's 6:05 first pitch. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Mock Draft Monday.
Yeah.
Get psyched for that. Plus the first round of What Is Wrong With You of a new week. And we'll talk about that memorable Masters Sunday, one for all time yesterday, as Rory McIlroy slays the demons and finally claims his green jacket. That's all coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk here on 580 WIBW. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk, Monday edition. Hope everybody's having the best Monday it is possible to have here in the capital city and elsewhere. 580 Sports Talk coming to you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Rosinski, Spencer Dupuis, with you until 5:30 tonight as we will break away for the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Yankees, game 1 of 3 at the stadium tonight. It is Seth Lugo on the bump for the Royals. Carlos Carrasco, still in the league.
Cookie.
Good for him. Carlos Carrasco.
Pretty sure they signed him like 4 minutes before the season started.
Yeah, he was a late addition to the team, and he might be an early exit from the team as soon as they get some guys healthy because his ERA looks like a Boeing airplane.
So what you're saying is it should be a bounce back game for the Royals offense.
You would like to think that this would be a game where they could get after somebody.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have not seen the matchups for the whole series. I'm pulling it up right now.
Waka and Fried on Tuesday.
Darn, the Royals don't get Stroman.
No, Stroman was
Bummer.
Saturday. Stroman got strafed on Saturday.
He sucks. He is toast. It's like he's like a cornerback.
At least he's
when
got
it
a
goes,
great,
it goes.
At least he's got a great attitude about it.
Hey, we've got some breaking Royals news.
Oh,
This involves the theory that about MJ Melendez.
hit me with it.
Royals tweeted or posted on X 25 seconds ago. We anticipate that outfielder Mark Cannon will begin a rehab assignment tomorrow with AAA Omaha.
Well, hey, if they can get him back within the week, yeah, I would expect that maybe MJ Melendez doesn't make the flight home with the rest of the club to Kansas City after the road trip. That would be, I think that's the move you have to make at this point.
Pretty tough to get one start and then immediately get hurt.
Yeah, that was tough for Canna. So hopefully he's all right and can start that rehab assignment. Anyhow, it's Waka and Fried tomorrow. Bubic and Clark Schmidt is the Wednesday night matchup.
Have you ever been to either version of Yankee Stadium?
I have been in the vicinity of the old Yankee Stadium. Didn't get to go inside. They had a game that day, but I was on an 8th grade school trip to New York. So they weren't doing any tours that day. They had a game that day, and our flight was that evening, so there was no sticking around for a game. But I got to walk around it.
That's cool.
I got to see it.
How many parks have you been to see a game?
To see a game, I'll go as sequential as I can. The old Tiger Stadium when I was like 8 months old. Count it. Mile High Stadium, obviously, where the Rockies played for their first 2 years, and Coors Field following that. Been to Dodger Stadium, been to whatever they're calling it in San Francisco these days, Oracle Park, I think. It was Pac Bell when it opened. I went there in, I think, 2000. Dodger Stadium, I've been to the old home of the Padres, Qualcomm Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't been out to Petco yet, but I did get to a game at Qualcomm. Had fish tacos for the first time.
Is that where the Chargers played?
Yes.
That's
They with Jack Murphy. Yeah. The old Jack Murphy Stadium. Yeah. Been to Tropicana Field 2 years ago. Unfortunately, obviously had the terrible damage with the hurricane, but I've been to the Trop, liked it a lot better than I thought I would. Both the old and new parks in Texas, both Globe Life Park or the ballpark in Arlington and Globe Life Field, the new one. Been to
Kmart warehouse. Yeah.
Yes, been to Wrigley a couple times. Been to old and new Busch stadiums. The not like Sportsman's Park, but the circular, the cookie cutter Busch Stadium. Saw a game there, and the new Busch saw the Rockies play there when I was in college. I think that's the list, excluding like minor league and spring training parks. I think that's the list.
I've only been to 4. I have been to like outside of the current Busch Stadium, but they didn't have a game that day. I went to a different sporting event the day I was there. I went and saw the St. Louis Battlehawks play, Cause the Law. First ever XFL overtime game, by the way, beat the Vipers. But yeah, I've been to Wrigley a million times, the K a bunch, the Cell / the Rate /
I forgot
Comiskey.
Kauffman Stadium. Obviously I've been there.
And I've been to Coors. Yeah,
there you go.
I liked Coors. It reminded me a lot of the Rate.
Okay,
like it's not scaffolding, but like the support beam, like it looked very similar. Like the structure of it looked very similar.
Sure.
I've only been to 4. if you count the RFK Stadium.
Of course you do.
and
Yeah.
Nationals Park.
I'll count it.
Orioles Park at Camden Yards and Kauffman Stadium. I've been outside PNC Park. There was no baseball.
No
at that
game,
time. Yeah.
Orioles Park is one that's it. Orioles Park and Angel Stadium are at the top of my list
Yeah.
before I'd like to go.
What's
And
funny?
Fenway.
What's funny was the Pirates were in DC for a 3-game series
And
when
you were
I
in
was in
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'd like to get out to Petco. That one's probably that. What are they calling it now? T-Mobile Park.
Oh, wait,
up in
I forgot.
Seattle.
Fenway. I've been to Fenway.
Oh, there you go.
So you've been to 5.
Yeah.
Petco is super cool too because it's right in the gas lamp district in San Diego. I love San Diego.
Real downtown park. Texter from the 785, and you can text the program 785-272-9429. Obviously a longtime listener asked of me, didn't you get left by your parents one time at a baseball game?
I love that story.
If that's how I told the story, my mom would never speak to me again.
I felt so bad for your poor mom.
I own a little bit of the incident, as it is known, at the old Mile High Stadium after a Rockies game in 1993. I walked because I thought they had walked out ahead of me, and I was just going to catch up. And no, they were waiting for me, but the person who was in charge of keeping eyes on me, and I won't say who to protect the innocent, just missed me and didn't flag me down. And I just kept going because I just assumed, they left out ahead of me. I wanted to see one more batter. I'll just catch up with them because, that's how you think when you're 7 years old, I guess. So, yes, I did not get left. I did get lost. Important distinction, and was very quickly reunited. It took the whole ordeal took 15 minutes. I'm sure for my mom, it felt like 3 days.
Yeah, I believe that. Your poor mother.
I had one of those similar kind of things, but I was at a amusement park. I was at Hershey Park.
Oh yeah,
with it was my cousins and my grandma, and my cousin and I. He's 1 year older than me, so we were like, we're in the water park. But in the water park at Hershey Park, they also have rides.
Sure.
And they have ones where you can dump people with water or whatever. So we're like, let's go on this one. Well, it was an hour and a half wait, and us, we're like, we'll do it. They'll be waiting for us. They'll be there when we get. And then we're like, let's go to another one and another one because we could see them sitting at a little area.
And then suddenly they weren't there.
And suddenly they weren't there. And then suddenly we saw them again with security guards.
Oh dear.
And yeah,
I don't think I ever got left behind anywhere. I guess my parents just love me more than you guys.
Yeah, that must have been what it is.
Mrs. Lucero, I am joking. I promise.
Yes.
I promise. I'm kidding.
Thank you for that. She'll appreciate that. Still to come this hour in 580 Sports Talk. We will talk about the Masters and Rory McIlroy's thrilling win yesterday and why it meant so much to so many people and the individual sporting event moment that it reminded me of as I was watching it. And we'll also get to Mock Draft Monday. We got that coming up. We got What Is Wrong With You still to come this hour. Again, your text, 785-272-9429, and your interaction on the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. But we owe you another keyword, the Choose Your Trip 2025 contest, ongoing for another week at our website, 580wibw.com. It's real simple. You go to the website, you click on the link that says, listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. It prompts you to enter a keyword. And this hour, your keyword, fittingly for the discussion we were just having, park.
No.
The keyword is park. As in, Spencer had forgotten for a moment, but he went to Fenway Park.
Yes.
Park is the keyword, P-A-R-K. Go to 580wibw.com. Click on the Listen to Win a Trip to Anywhere in the U.S. link. Anytime this hour, so until 5 o'clock, enter the keyword park and get yourself registered for a chance to win and choose your trip anywhere in the good old U.S. of A.
Enjoy your trip to Lyman, Colorado, folks. I stopped at a gas station there. I think I had about 3 ounces of gas left in my tank when I got to Lyman, Colorado.
They have a nice Taco Bell in Lyman.
Do they really?
Yes.
They have a nice, some large gas station.
Lyman, what Lyman is if you're driving from these parts to Denver, what Lyman is a relief. Because the part of the drive between roughly Salina and Lyman, Colorado feels like it will never end.
Yeah.
And that is with the utmost respect to people in towns like Colby and Oakley and Hayes and the things that are there, the amenities. You can pull off in Waukene or Quinter and get gas. I know that. But the drive just feels like it's going to last forever from Salina to Lyman. And once you get past Lyman, you still got some ways to go. But Lyman is like, you can see mountains by that point. You finally feel like you are going to get to your destination.
There are more signs for other towns which is nice because for a long time it's just Lyman, 150 miles.
Yep.
Lyman, 140 miles. Like, okay, let's get there.
Lyman got hit by a terrible tornado when I was a kid. So, like, if you go through there, like, you kind of notice there aren't a lot of trees.
Oh, interesting.
That would be why. I was 91, I want to say, 90, 91, something like that.
Anyhow, it is not Limon.
It is not Limon.
I wish I would have remembered the place that I had to stop because I had 18 miles till E on the way moving out here. All I remember is that the interstate turned like this, and it said I had 55 miles till E, and I was like, okay, once we make this turn, I'll stop off, and there'll be something to stop off, and then like 40 miles later,
you finally found a town.
No, I'm like freaking 20 miles later, freaking out because I haven't found anything. And then there's like, you get off, and then you go down. There's this mini church, like small people church, like
a small people church.
That sounds very politically incorrect. A church that's very small that has a small door, like a
little chapel.
Yes, little chapel. Then there's like a truck stop, and then there's a McDonald's across the street. And I will forever remember that place as the place where I had to get gas.
There you go.
Because I had 18 miles till E on the trip out here, thinking I could make it further.
Small people church.
All right, we ready for Mock Draft Monday?
Yes, let's get into Mock Draft Monday.
Out of that segment into Mock Draft Monday.
All
let's
right.
do it.
So one note before we get to our head-to-head 7-round mocks for you freaks out there. Matt Verderame mentioned that he keeps seeing Joshua Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, get mocked to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Very talented, large guy. Didn't play a lot this year because he tore his patella tendon early in the season. Jordan Plocher of Pro Football Focus, he, in a 1-round mock today, had Josh Simmons going to the Chiefs. But we've got 2 7-rounders. Our pal Jesse Newell back at it again. Jesse, you sicko. He's got a 7-rounder over at the Kansas City Star. Find it at kansascity.com. And Kyle Krabs, we've used Kyle's content on the show around draft season before. He's currently working over at the 33rd team. They've each got a 7-round mock. So let's get to the first round pick. We'll do this the same way we did last week's. Number 1, first round, no trades in either draft. 31st overall pick. Jesse Newell goes with interior defensive lineman Derek Harmon from Oregon. Kyle Krabs goes with offensive lineman Kelvin Banks of Texas. Banks at one point was considered maybe a top 10 pick. He played tackle at Texas. Some people, from what I've read and listened to on podcasts, think he might kick into guard. Derek Harmon was what you would call a late riser. All of a sudden, people are talking about him a lot, and it sounds like there might be folks around the league who think of him as a top 25 kind of player. I think if the Chiefs could get him at 31, that would be a coup for Brett Veach.
Oh, I would agree 100%. Yeah, my preference, of course, for the Chiefs draft is interior defensive line over offensive line at 31. So I lean with the Harmon pick anyway. But I think he might be the second or third best player at that position in the draft. I'd put him third behind both the Michigan guys, Graham and Grant. So if the Chiefs, if he's there at 31, walk, don't run, and turn in that draft card. Kelvin Banks, the arms are a little short. Is he a guard? I would.
So a few questions about want to with him.
If I'm going to take an offensive lineman in round 1, if I'm the Chiefs, I want to be real certain about what he's going to be.
Yes. Agreed.
And I want a little more certainty than with my last first 2-round pick at tackle, where you don't have that suddenly with Kingsley Sumatai, and now you're trying to see if he's a left guard. I don't want to do that again with Kelvin Banks, where you get him in camp and you're thinking, oh, we'd love for him to be a tackle. I mean, look, if the Chiefs believe that he's a tackle 100%, they believe it with all their hearts, they're full-throated in their support of Kelvin Banks as a tackle, then okay, I can see the vision. But there are a lot of people out there, like you said, are thinking that he might have to kick inside, and I would not want to use 131 with a guard. To me, that doesn't appeal to me.
If you already used a top 65 pick on a guy who had to kick into guard from a year ago. Harmon or Banks, which one do you like, Spence?
I like Harmon better.
Yeah, I have come around a little bit more on Harmon. I would put Harmon above Walter Nolan, honestly. The big reason I think his upside is like crazy, but when I read, stuff from Dane Brugler at The Athletic or Nate Tice at Yahoo or guys who are really tapped into this stuff, and they say there are questions about if this guy's got the right motor, that worries me. I'd rather take a guy who is like 95% the athlete and you don't have to worry about that stuff with. So I would take Derek Harmon there as well. 2nd round pick, 63rd overall. Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star goes with Princey Umanmielen edge rusher from Ole Miss. That is not the correct pronunciation of it, the correct accent for his name, but Princely Umanmielen. Meanwhile, Kyle Krabs of the 33rd team, I'm fascinated by this one. Elik Iomanor, wide receiver from Stanford. If that name rings a bell, and you think, I don't watch a lot of Pac-12 or now ACC football, you may remember him from having one of the greatest individual receiver games ever, destroying Travis Hunter a couple years ago.
Lit him on fire and did it exclusively basically in the second half and overtime of that game. It all happened at like 1 a.m. Central Time. So if you didn't stay up late for it, I understand.
It makes sense.
But he dunked on Travis Hunter over and over again in the second half.
It was insane. And that was the game where Colorado blew a 29-0 first half lead.
Yeah.
I don't know about this one. I think the Chiefs really need edge help. I don't know about double dipping defensive line players in the first 2 rounds. I don't hate it. I don't know that I love it. I'm kind of leaning Iomanor here. I certainly like that idea because it's different than anything the Chiefs have right now.
Yes, because he's a big outside receiver.
Not a speed guy.
Yeah, he's going to be a, go get it kind of contested catch weapon on the outside that the Chiefs don't really have. For our guy Princely, I don't want to ruin his last name, so I'm just going to call him Princely.
Sure.
The thing about him is he's one of those guys who probably could be productive as a pass rusher like from day one, but some questions about how he'd hold up in the run game, and the Steve Spagnuolo trust guys who aren't going to be able to hold up in the run game to play a lot. Like what's his fit other than being a situational pass rusher? And would the Chiefs view him as more than that? And if they brought him in, are the Chiefs maybe then holding a few too many of those guys where they're just like, that's the thing they do is get to the quarterback, but you don't have the guy who holds up at the point of attack. You don't have the Frank Clark in that rotation.
Or even a Menahu to that degree. Lance Zierlein from NFL.com. We've had Lance on the show before. His NFL comparison for Princely, Whitney Merciless. If you could draft Whitney Merciless in the second round, you'd be thrilled. He was a really good player. The first weakness listed is more finesse than physical as a run defender. That is so not Steve Spagnuolo.
No. That's why Josh Uche disappeared.
Yeah, just completely disappeared. Below average hand usage. Like, this sounds a little Felixy to me. And I'm holding out hope for NUDK Uzama with one more year. That has not really worked out to this point. All right, 3rd round picks. There's 2 of them for the Chiefs. 66th overall. This is the second pick, is it? The second pick of the 3rd round. Jesse Newell's got Darian Porter, cornerback from Iowa State, another late riser. And at the end of the 3rd round, pick 95, Ozzie Trapio, offensive tackle, Boston College. Kyle Krabs of the 33rd team. Surprise, he's got our guy, Princely Umanmielen from Ole Miss, the edge rusher, as a 3rd round pick, as well as interior defensive lineman Ty Robinson. Spencer, you first. Which haul do you prefer in the 3rd round here?
I'm going with, I think, Jesse.
I think I'm leaning Jesse too.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to get some sort of depth or a project or something in the offensive line group, I think.
Darian Porter is really interesting because he's huge.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a lot of defensive back, but he's big.
Yeah,
he's
converted receiver.
He's a long levers. He can be physical. The NFL.com draft comparison for him is Reek Woolen of the Seahawks.
Okay.
Woolen played a lot more defensive back.
Yeah.
The 5th round pick came out, was all rookie. I don't know that you're getting that right away, but a raw, toolsy, big corner for Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo to work with, I could definitely see the vision there. And then, I think at that point, the 3rd round, if you're looking for a project tackle or an offensive lineman with some flexibility, you could talk me into it there. I really like Ty Robinson, though. I think that's a guy who's going to play in the league for a long time. I don't know that he's going to be a superstar, but to me, he's got an edge to him and plays nasty, and I like him as part. I don't think he's a starter, but I think he's a rotational defensive tackle in the league for a really long time.
I think that's fair. I think that's entirely fair. Nice player, really good college player. I would probably lean with Jesse's haul. That's a little richer on the defensive back than the Chiefs usually go with. But again, I think getting some offensive line help in the 3rd round would be important. Both of these 7th round mock drafts have the same 4th round pick. Running back Damian Martinez from Florida.
Miami,
Florida, excuse me.
Miami by way of Oregon State.
Yes. And he was really good at Oregon State.
Mm-hmm. Averaged like 6 yards a carry last year, even though he doesn't have like breakaway speed.
Yeah.
He's just He's not a load. He's not like a huge back, but he's a very physical, very strong runner.
Fit Oregon State really well. Better than I think he did at Miami, and he still put out numbers at Miami.
I don't know if I believe that's a Chiefs fit, but you know who might believe it's a Chiefs fit? The Chiefs, because he's coming in for a visit today.
Yeah. Feels like a sign that they'll at least be interested. So the same 4th round pick there. All right, 7th rounder. Spencer, we'll go to you first. Jesse with the 3 7th rounders for the Chiefs. He's got linebacker Shamar Jones from Florida, tight end Jalen Conyers from Texas Tech. We've seen plenty of him. And wide receiver Shamir DK of Florida, as well as Mr. Irrelevant. Kyle Krabs from the 33rd team goes with wide receiver Nick Nash from San Jose State to open the 7th round. Tight end Luke Lachey from Iowa, and safety Shamari Simmons from Arizona State as Mr. Irrelevant. Which of those 7th round groups do you like the best, Spence?
I'm not a big fan of them taking a tight end in the 7th round because what is he? I'm just not a big fan there. So those are both kind of questioning me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think you're gonna need some linebacker depth. I think because Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil, I'm gonna go Jesse's on this with the linebacker depth help.
Sure, I get that. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I guess that's what you're asking. Would you rather them add to the linebacker room or the safety room? You're probably talking about a special, like best case core special teams guy with that player either way. I think Nick Nash is really a fascinating wide receiver. He's a big slot, super productive. Nobody caught more passes for more yards or more touchdowns, I think, in the country last year than Nick Nash. And he's a converted quarterback, so he's like fairly new to the position. So there might be some positional upside there. He's not hyper athletic. That's why you're seeing him in the 7th round of these mock drafts, despite the super numbers that he put up. But Nash is a guy, like, I could definitely see the vision as if you're going to take a wide receiver. Now, that's Krabs' mock draft. He already had him taking A.O. Manor in the 2nd round. So I don't know if you need to double up on wide receivers. But as a late round wide receiver flyer, I love the thought of Nick Nash. I love the guys who were crazy productive in college.
Yeah.
Different, like, big slot. That's not a guy that the Chiefs really had, like, other than Juju, I guess.
That's fair.
And Juju's obviously on the back 9 of his career. So I think I like Kyle's 7th rounders better than I like Jesse.
I would probably lean here with Kyle's as well. Look, I don't care if it's a 7th rounder. I see tight end Iowa. I'm willing to take a flyer. it's the best tight end development program in the country by far.
That's
Laporta and Kittle and all those dudes. All right, who wins? Who wins our mock draft Monday head-to-head battle here?
I'm going to give the lean to Jesse because I like his 1st round pick and I like his day 2 picks better.
Yeah, I would agree. I think going off of, I think anybody that is going to go offensive line now, I don't think is on the right track.
Based on what Matt told us?
Yeah. Well, just based on his reasoning.
Sure.
And it made me think that way too. Like maybe I wasn't thinking that way initially, but now I'm thinking like, yeah, they signed their guy, and I don't think they're going 1st round because they don't want a project guy to be 1st round.
I think I am going to lean with, I'll lean with Jesse because the 1st round pick's the most valuable, and I like his a lot more. I actually think the rest of the draft I might lean with Kyle from 33rd team, but if the Chiefs get Derek Harmon at 31, yes, that's a win for a draft already. That's a player I'd consider trading up for. I know Matt Verderame said the same thing last hour. I'd consider a trade up for that player.
We will take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it'll be our 1st round of What is Wrong with You for the week here on 580 WIBW. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk is brought to you by our buddy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give him a call today, 785-273-1572. See what Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services can do for you.
Not only is the building itself that houses Mo's offices palatial in nature, you know what else it is? Really close to Dairy Queen.
Yes, right across the street from Dairy Queen.
So if you need to, get some stuff figured out at home with the car or whatever, go get a Blizzard, and then I probably wouldn't walk across 29th. I probably wouldn't.
Not there, no.
On the slope, that blind slope. Yeah, don't do that. Please do not do that. But they're really close to each other.
Yeah,
I could go for a Blizzard right now, man. I tell you what.
I wreck a Blizzard, 1,000%. We got two new stories. Start a new week on What is Wrong with You. And Spencer, I'm going to let you go first.
All right, we're going to the great state of Florida for an embezzlement story.
Oh, yeah.
A woman is accused of embezzling more than $500,000 from a church. The Nassau County Sheriff's Office arrested 44-year-old Melissa English on charges of embezzlement from Amelia Baptist Church. According to the Sheriff's Office, English served as the church's financial secretary for 11 years and allegedly embezzled more than $570,000 from the church between January 2019 and October of 2024.
Wowza.
Two new church financial committee members noticed discrepancies after reviewing bank documents and records, finding that funds were lower than they should have been. After reviewing credit card statements from a church credit card issued to English, they discovered hundreds of thousands of dollars had been used for personal expenses. She was fired. The church hired a contractor to review all the financial transactions from 2019 to 2024. They found numerous discrepancies and fraudulent charges. According to the sheriff's office, she had embezzled nearly $40,000 from the church in 2019. In 2020, she reached nearly $90,000 through unauthorized charges, personal credit card payments, and additional payroll payments to herself. In 2021, it was more than $100,000, spending funds on Amazon purchases, SeaWorld tickets, Hey Dude shoes, hotel stays, airlines, and a helicopter flight over the Grand Canyon. In 2022, it was nearly $125,000 on purchases, including cruise lines, Airbnb rentals, concert tickets, and more. In 23, over $123,000 on Amazon Hotel and Walmart. In 2024, she continued issuing herself additional payroll payments and has embezzled more than $90,000, including spending it on cruise lines, baseball tickets, hotels, and other personal expenses. She's been charged with grand theft of over $100,000, a first-degree felony for knowingly and unlawfully using the church's credit card for personal expenses totaling over $500,000.
So we had a church embezzlement story last year. We had a story very similar to this. I believe it was a monthly finalist. It did not eventually win the month.
It was the woman who took the money for TikTok, wasn't it?
Yes, TikTok coin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we had to ask Trenton, what is that?
Purchasing TikTok coins. And we did some digging on that woman and found that she had fallen on some personal hard times.
Sure.
And some of that embezzlement was there was a whiff of desperation to what it is that she had done. No, not this woman. She's balling in the name of the Lord.
Yeah, here's the thing. And I'm not trying to tell you should believe in this particular belief system. But if you're working at a church, I assume you believe what the church is preaching, right?
Yeah.
The message of the church. Do you not think God sees this?
Exactly.
Do you not think this is going to go on that record someday when we're all judged? I see you stole $500,000 from my house. What do you have to say for yourself? I have a hard time imagining doing this.
Also, I don't understand how it took so long for them to figure out this happening, just because what I guess if she's married, what does her husband do to the fact that they can go on all these luxurious trips? And to me, that would have rang a bell in 2021 when she was going on cruises and stuff and doing all the stuff that she hadn't done before in her life, and she holds the money. Come on.
This is pretty evil.
Yeah, you would have thought that would have led to some questions. All right, that's an evil story. Hopefully this one's a little bit more lighthearted. We're going to Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, where a woman has been accused of making hundreds of reservations at a Cumberland County hotel and then canceling them. By canceling the fraudulent reservations, 52-year-old Taryn Dixon of Camp Hill allegedly cost the hotel thousands of dollars because the no-show fee was only a percentage of the reservation price. Dixon is accused of booking more than 400 rooms this year at the Comfort Suites in Carlisle. The manager reported in January 2025 to the Comfort Suites in Carlisle, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
What?
Years ago. Yeah.
Wow. This really hits home.
So the manager reported in January 2025, 44 different reservations were billed under Dixon's credit card. Dixon claimed the rooms were bought as Christmas gifts. However, the recipients were not made aware of the reservations. She was warned not to make any more reservations. However, she continued to do so. One of those fraudulent reservations was made under the name of the Carlisle Borough Police Chief's name. Another fraudulent reservation was made under the name of the county's former top prosecutor, Merle Ebert. Now, we know Merle Ebert can't make the reservation. He died last year.
Oh.
When asked if she knew about Ebert's passing, Dixon allegedly said, quote, "You mean his demise?"
Oh.
Which is the kind of thing that if someone said to me, I would run in the other direction. Due to the canceled reservations, the hotels lost upward of $2,000. Dixon was arraigned in April, and as a bail condition, she was not allowed to make reservations within a 200-mile radius of Carlisle. The following weekend, she made 96 more reservations.
Wow.
It seems like an addiction over there.
Wow.
It's that Yoda meme, going back for more reservations.
Listen, this is messed up. I don't quite understand the grift here, but I will say this. After my experience at a certain not so super hotel in Evansville, Indiana a few weeks ago, don't give me any ideas here, Taryn.
She made so many reservations.
That's wild.
The hotel, you're trying to book a room in Carlisle. Oh man, the Comfort Suites is booked again. Those guys are booked solid. What's cracking in Carlisle? This nutty woman just calling the hotel and making reservation after reservation. I need a follow-up with this story.
This is so unhinged.
And then making them specifically in other people's names, including dead people.
Yeah.
His demise. I'm going to go with this one. Spence, your story was hard to beat. This is a really good way to open the week. This woman's just off her rocker, though.
She made
A little less evil, but more deranged, I think.
I love the idea that twice she was told, hey, you need to stop doing this. What if I did it more? What if I did it harder than I did it ever before? 96 hotel reservations made in one weekend.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it's a really funny story.
And the thing is, like, it's not like she got all of her money back.
No.
She had to pay the no-show fees.
Oh, I regret to inform you, I was wrong. Not that hotel. There's another Comfort Inn in Carlisle.
Oh, you hit the other one.
Yeah, off 81. We stayed there after a high school game, before a Shepherd game.
So, despite the fact that we got a very good submission for Spencer's story name from
That's a good
785, living off of church's tithes to the tune of living on Tulsa time.
Nice.
Very well done. But no, we're going to go with booking.com, booking.no.
That's good.
We're going with this woman as our What Is Wrong With You winner. What Is Wrong With You brought to you by our guy Ryan Mowinkle, Mowinkle Insurance and Financial Services. Go check out his website, Ryan Mowinkle. That's MOHWINKLE, RyanMowinkle.com. Or stop by and see him and grab some ice cream. We'll take a break. When we come back, a tournament like no other at the tradition unlike any other. Why did Rory McIlroy winning the Masters mean so much to so many? We'll discuss it next on 580 Sports Talk. Jim Nantz really slathered it on thick. I didn't mean to jump the line. I didn't know there was more. Sorry, my bad. Some of the sights and sounds, not a sighted medium, but the sounds. Rory McIlroy winning the 89th Masters at Augusta, Georgia, beating Justin Rose in the first hole of a playoff after letting what was at one point on Sunday a 5-shot lead on the back nine get away. McIlroy completes the career Grand Slam, wins his first major since 2014, and finally has the elusive green jacket.
Green's not really my color. I don't think I'd want a green jacket.
There are not a lot of people that just rock a green jacket for no reason.
No.
Usually if you won that, it was because you were really good at golf for 4 days in April in Georgia.
Yeah. Or that 1 year in November.
Or in that 1 year in November. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people just running around with green sport coats.
Or you are a head coach at Marshall University.
Yeah, there you go.
So it was a fabulously entertaining golf tournament, and the drama was unparalleled. And I even was surprised at how much I wanted it for Rory McIlroy by the end of the weekend, because I would not classify myself as a Rory McIlroy super fan. I greatly admired the fact that he was the voice of the PGA Tour in the early days of the Live Golf schism. I appreciated how he went to bat for his tour and for professional golf, and hated the way Jay Monahan knifed him in the back a couple of years later after the fact. So I've always had a lot of respect and regard for Rory McIlroy, but even I was surprised. After he took the 2-shot lead going into Sunday, I told my wife going to bed that night, "Man, I'm going to be so sad if Rory doesn't win this tournament. I'm going to be really, really sad if he doesn't win this tournament."
I did not realize how many fans he had, to be honest with you.
If you think about it, for that generation that came to golf in the early 2010s, he's kind of like their Tiger Woods, where he was the young guy that made golf look cool, and he's dominating, he's winning everything.
Yeah,
and of course, that was the power vacuum that existed because Tiger at the time was not a factor in professional golf for a variety of different reasons.
Was also looked down upon in life a little bit.
So
that's why I'm a fan of him, is because during my core years of 10, 11, 12 was Tiger tore his ACL, then Tiger cheating scandal, and then
the cheating scandal was 2009.
Yeah.
I want to say. Yeah.
So I'm 12 years old at that point, right?
Yeah.
That's my core, who's a good guy.
That's the golfer.
Yeah.
The golfer for that particular generation. But I also think that Rory McIlroy is uniquely and you get this in individual sports, right? More so than the team sports. You have guys who their struggles, their ups and their downs, they feel a little more tangible. They feel a little bit more human. And Rory McIlroy has always felt like the most human guy on the golf course, because when he is disappointed, he has never tried to hide it. He's never Tiger was a bit of a robot.
Yeah,
just golf dork, bit of a robot. Rory has never been that. Rory cried when he didn't make the cut in 2019 at Royal Portrush at the Open Championship, because that's his home course effectively for that tournament. He missed the cut and he sobbed. He cried when he couldn't finish the deal in 2022 at the Open Championship. When he didn't play bad, he just couldn't make a putt on Sunday and Cameron Smith ran him down. He was devastated after he lost by a shot to Wyndham Clark in 23 at the U.S. Open, and then the unspeakable way he lost the U.S. Open to Bryson DeChambeau last year. And at that point, it kind of felt like, man, if not now, when? Is it ever going to happen for this guy? And then it finally happened. And what it ended up reminded me of, you weren't alive for this, Spencer.
No,
but
I guess not.
1998.
Yeah, no. I was alive, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, core memories in 1998.
Alive but unconscious, just like Gerald Ford.
1998, Dale Earnhardt finally won the Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
And I this is maybe one thing that even if you weren't alive for it, maybe you've seen the images from it, where everybody came out to give Dale Earnhardt essentially a guard of honor to pit row or victory lane. And all of the pit crews came out to high five him. He took this very slow drive down pit road to head to victory lane. because Dale Earnhardt Dale Earnhardt Sr. had done everything you could do in racing. He had won 7 Winston Cup, what was known by at that time, 7 Winston Cup championships, greatest driver of a generation, had sort of aged into an era where he wasn't quite as polarizing. He was becoming a more beloved elder statesman. And the one thing he'd never done was win that race. And in NASCAR, if you don't win that race, but you win everything else, it's that but that just lingers over your entire career. So that day when Dale Earnhardt won that race, everybody wanted it for him. And that was the cool thing about watching that tournament and watching the reaction. CBS had so many great crowd shots when, you can't have your phone. The only way you follow the event, if you're on the site, if you're at the course, is to watch the big board and see the scores go up. And when they showed the score go up, that put McIlroy up 5, the eruption off of 18. And when they put the score up after McIlroy hit the worst wedge I have ever seen a professional golfer hit with a lead on Sunday at a major, into the water at 13 and lost the lead briefly, the reaction on 18. Everybody on those grounds wanted that for him. And Rory's whole thing is he wants it too much and has let it get away from him in those moments because he has wanted it too much for so long. For it to finally have happened felt very cathartic and very authentic. And it was something I'm going to remember for a very long time as a sporting event.
Already mentioned airplane reference a moment ago, the line about Gerald Ford, which always pops me when I watch that movie. But the ending of the event really did feel like when they finally land the plane in airplane and Ted Stryker is just
soaking
gushing sweat and they're bouncing off the runway and it finally skids to a stop. They landed. They got there safely.
Incredibly.
Don't ask how it happened, but you got there.
Yeah.
He was going to win it. All he had to do was par 18, and he hits the second worst wedge I have ever seen a professional golfer hit with the lead on the back 9 in a major on Sunday. I mean, my God, he hit his irons like a god, and he hit his wedges like me on the entire day on Sunday. And he, except for the last wedge that he hit into the playoff hole, he stuck it to 4 feet. And I remember thinking, good thing he hit it close, because any putt outside of 5 feet, he is not going to make. Like he had the putt yip so bad on that back 9, like you could tell he had to stick it. Otherwise he wasn't going to make a putt the rest of the day, but he finally did it. He finally got it over the line. And what's really important here is now I have picked the correct Masters champion 3 consecutive years, which gives me a ton of credibility when I call myself America's leading Masters tout. Get in on the ground floor of Ludwig Oberg 2026.
He did not have a great second to 9 either.
He did not have a great 8. You want to talk about somebody playing a hole like me? He played the 18th so bad.
It was so.
He cost himself a house essentially.
Yeah.
He went from a top 5 finish to 7th. He cost himself a house.
A top 3 finish.
Yeah.
He was tied for 3rd.
He was tied for the lead. There was a 5-minute stretch. He was tied for the lead in a 3-way tie, and he triple bogeyed 18 with ran a putt 10 feet past. Looked like me. I go on the course right now and do the exact same thing. It was incredible sports. It was incredible drama, and it was cool because Rory and Bryson are the 2 golfers that make you feel, and they were both paired on a Sunday at Augusta. And how often do we get that in sports? Like the marquee pairing like that. And Bryson didn't deliver, but Rory certainly did, and I wouldn't be surprised he reels off a few more now that big monkey is off his back. Speaking of playing like me, you can play like me at the 5 great life golf courses in the Topeka area. Go to greatlifetopeka.com. Find out all of the great member benefits. Being a golf member or an all-inclusive member will get you. You will be able to play a lot of golf at some outstanding courses, and hopefully you won't putt as bad as Ludwig did on the 18th. That's greatlifetopeka.com. Back to wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. lot of airplane talk happening in the YouTube chat over on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Always good time to bring that film up.
One of my favorite films of all time. There are
really informs my sense of humor. One of those.
Yes, no, that's true. There are about 4 movies that I quote constantly, and I will always ask my wife, "Okay, which movie is that?" And it's a 25% chance. It's Airplane, Spaceballs, Clerks, or Anchorman. It's one of those every time.
Ever been to a Turkish prison?
What?
You ever hang around the gymnasium? Oh man, yeah. Mark B on YouTube. Barbara Billingsley steals the show. Yeah, the line where Barbara Billingsley, formerly for those not in the know, the mother from Leave It to Beaver, correct?
Yes.
Walks up and says, "Oh, stewardess, I speak jive," is one of the funniest moments in movies.
Later.
Give us some slack, Jack.
Great film.
So good.
This is where I take my leave of you gentlemen and you listeners for the rest of the show. My kiddo's got swimming lessons, and I'm going to go because I can, because we're off early today at 5:30 for Royals baseball. So I am departing, but Brendan and Spencer have you for some headlines and a final word before Royals baseball at 5:30 on a final half hour of 580 Sports Talk.
it's the final half hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I'm Brendan Dworzynski. Joining me is Spencer Dupuis. Dan Lucero is out for the final half hour of the show. We've got Royals baseball tonight, East Coast baseball. The Royals are in the Bronx, taking on the New York Yankees. You ever been to New York?
Yes.
I have too. I like New York. I like New York for a long weekend. I don't think I could spend any more than that.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 days is the cap.
Yeah, that's about the maximum I can do. I go catch a game, either at Shea Stadium or Yankee Stadium. I know it's not Shea Stadium. I don't care. It's Shea Stadium to me, damn it.
I would love to do like that as a weekend.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun weekend.
Yeah.
So we've got Royals baseball taking on the Yankees tonight. 5:30 pregame start time right here on your home for Royals baseball since the first pitch all the way back in 1969. 580 WIBW. We'll get you headlines. We'll get you our final word for today as well. We want to hear from you too, either on the text line 785-272-9429, or you can drop us a line on the YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can find us. If you have not subscribed, what the hell are you doing, man? Come on. I'm just kidding. I don't need to be that aggressive. But if you haven't subscribed, that's where you can find the daily live stream, the video content, all of that, all the other videos we do. We're still working on what we're going to do for the draft this year. Dan and I had a kind of an impromptu, kind of offhand planning meeting a couple weeks ago. Got some ideas. So we're working on that. I'll fill you in at some point about this as well. So we'll have all that content over at our YouTube channel as well. Again, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can find us and subscribe to the video version of the show. All right, Spencer, we got plenty of headlines. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right on in. I am going to start with a very local sports headline for us from WIBW TV, our friends over at Channel 13 and their website. The headline reads, "Time to vote. 5 name finalists revealed for the new Topeka hockey team." We remember that it was just a few short months ago that we had some, not exhibition hockey, but some hockey come back to the event center, and the Storm Vale Event Center in Landon Arena. And that was kind of the kickoff event for the return of professional hockey here in the capital city. Obviously, a storied history of the sport here in Northeast Kansas. The new program, the new franchise will be part of the Federal Prospects Hockey League. I'm going to be honest with you. Do not ask me to tell you what the minor league comparison is, because the AHL is like AAA and the ECHL is like AA. I don't know where the Federal Prospect Hockey League factors in, but I do know it's professional hockey. They're going to play at Landon Arena inside of the Expo Center, and they've got 5 names that are the finalists for what the team will be called. Those 5 are, and I believe I'll read these in alphabetical order: the Topeka Capitals, the Topeka the Topeka Roadrunners, the Topeka Scarecrows, the Topeka Tornadoes, and the Topeka Wizards. Spencer, what would your vote be? A couple of these are former names. The Topeka Roadrunners and Topeka Scarecrows were already professional hockey teams in the city.
I think it's funny there are 2 names on that list that are currently DC professional sports teams.
The Caps and the Wizards? That's funny. I hadn't even thought about that.
I will take the Capitals. I think it's a nice name.
See, I would put Capitals, I think, at the bottom of my list. I think it's boring. We know it's the Capital. People going to the games know that we're the Capital. You don't need to advertise that. I want to be something unique. There aren't many Roadrunners out there. There aren't many Scarecrows out there. It's a little bit of a throwback. I know maybe it reminds us of teams that have left in recent years. I would go with either Roadrunners or Scarecrows. Tornadoes is fine. It's whatever. Topeka Wizards, I don't. I'm indifferent about that one.
I like the Topeka Wizards logo better than any Washington Wizards logo I've ever seen.
That's fair. That is certainly fair. Yeah, the one they had in the early 2000s, the weird skinny, italicized Wizard when Michael Jordan was on the team.
Yeah.
In the light blues. Yeah. I would go Scarecrows. I think that's my official vote. I would go Scarecrows.
I guess I would go Capitals, then Roadrunners.
That's fair. The Roadrunner logo kind of looks like Texas San Antonio. Also,
yeah, it does.
Same colors and everything.
Yeah.
So a little too similar. But those are your options. And I believe you can find the link. If you go to WIBW's website, the Channel 13 website, you'll be able to find a link to it. TopekaKansas.HockeyShift sportstalkheadlines.com. That is where you are able to vote. Voting will be open through April 27th, so we got about 2 weeks. They will announce the new name on May 5th.
Did you know there's also another team coming into the Prospects League? The Indiana Sentinels.
I did not know that.
Columbus, Indiana.
The only Sentinels that I recognize is the Washington Sentinels from the famed Keanu Reeves 2000 sports comedy movie, The Replacements. It's the only Sentinels I recognize. So that's your first headline.
You mean the
today.
1985 Washington's? I think that was the year it was based off. In The Replacements, based off the Washington.
Yeah,
Redskins.
it's based on the strike year, 1987. Yeah. The then Redskins.
Yes.
Yes. Correct. I watch it all the time. Like every time it's on cable. All right, Spencer, what's your first headline for us today?
Well, I'll give you this headline. We talked about it last week as being it was either last week or the week before, coming out of the owners' meetings as it to be a potential thing for the Chiefs, but it looks like it won't happen. According to Awful announcing, NFL likely won't make Chiefs a permanent Christmas Day team.
Good.
Despite the overtures to the league, the NFL likely won't make the Chiefs a permanent fixture on Christmas Day. Appearing on the It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast, the NFL's VP of Broadcast Planning and Scheduling, Mike North, was asked about the Chiefs' recent request to become the Christmas version of the Lions on Thanksgiving. Quote, "I am not sure that's going to be a tradition quite the way Thanksgiving is," North said. I mean, think about what it took for that tradition, right? The Lions since the 30s, the Cowboys since the 60s. We don't commit a third site on Thanksgiving. When we brought that back about 20 years ago, we rotated that around. I imagine we're going to keep rotating Christmas around too. So
has it really been 20 years that they've had the third Thanksgiving Day game?
Yeah, I guess so.
There's no way it has been that long. That's crazy. I am so old. The Lions have been doing it forever.
I feel like ever since I remember watching football, it's been about 20 years. Yeah,
man.
So 04, 05, 06 is kind of those years where I remember watching football.
Yeah, 2006. It was the debut of Thursday night football. Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-10. It was the first NFL Network Thursday night football game.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that was all the way back in 2006. That is crazy. I'm so old. Cannot believe it. This is good. I don't want that.
No.
We watch the Chiefs because we like the team. They're fun to watch. It is also our job. I prefer, personally, to not have to work on Christmas Day. I've got a wife. I've got a kid now. I've got other family members, in-laws, my own family, etc. I'd rather spend time with them on Christmas, even if football's on. Fine. We'll throw the game on while we do presents. That's not a problem. Or after presents during Christmas lunch, Christmas dinner, whatever. But I don't want to have to say, oh, sorry, honey, can't hang out with the kid right now and open her first Christmas presents. Yeah. I got to watch this third down. I'm not going to complain one bit if the Chiefs do not end up as a permanent fixture on Christmas Day. And I would imagine you guys wouldn't either. That would be my hope anyway.
Yeah, no, I can't. I don't want your team to be permanent on Christmas. I think that's messed up. I get wanting the spotlight, but no, don't you want to spend Christmas with your family a few times?
I sure do.
I know Patrick Mahomes probably does.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no doubt about that.
With his growing family.
Yeah. All right, next headline for us on today's 580 Sports Talk headlines from the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. The 2025 Kansas Sports Hall of Fame class has been announced. Your inductees this year: Larry Brown, Tim Jankovich, J.C. Louderback, Bob Lutz, Kendrick Maple, Bobby Randall, Laverne Smith, Deb Tornadin, formerly Deb Peel, Clifford Wiley, and Mark Mangino. So Coach Mangino was actually inducted last year, was scheduled to be. However, he was sick. He had COVID. He wasn't able to attend the ceremony last year, so he is going to be honored this year instead. This will now make it 349 inductees into the Kansas State Sports Hall of Fame. The state of Kansas, not Kansas State University. Notes about all the inductees this year. So we'll just go in order. Larry Brown, 1972 NFL MVP for who, Spencer?
The Washingtons?
Yes, you are correct. Started his career at Dodge City Community College, then went on to play at K-State. Tim Jankovic, a Manhattan guy, all-state basketball player at Manhattan High, then went to K-State, made 3 NCAA tournament appearances while he was a Wildcat. Also a 332 and 199 record as a head coach. Normally, I hate numbers that end in 9 or 99 or 999. If I'm Jankovic, though, I'm thrilled. Like, I didn't get to 200, under 200 losses for my career. Hell yeah. That's a big win for me if I'm Tim Jankovic. J.C. Louderback went to Southwestern College, also the alma mater of the best sports writer in the state of Kansas, Rick Peterson. He was a 3-sport standout there. He was also the tennis coach at Arkansas City High School for 36 years and a longtime official for both college football and basketball. Bob Lutz is a longtime columnist and reporter for the Wichita Eagle. He has also been a radio host down in Wichita and organized the League 42 Urban Youth Baseball Organization. Unfortunately, Dan's not here to talk about it. I know that was very important to him when he lived in Wichita. Kendrick Maple was a state title winner in wrestling at Wichita Heights. He won an NCAA championship as a wrestler as well, and he was a 3-time All-American at Oklahoma. Bobby Randall attended high school in Gove, or is it Gove? I'm showing my not native Kansan here. I don't actually know how that's pronounced. But I can tell you he was born in Norton, played 5 years for the Minnesota Twins, and he still ranks 2nd in career batting average at Kansas State. Went on to be a head coach at KU, Manhattan Christian, and Iowa State. Laverne Smith set the career and season rushing and touchdown records at KU, and then played in the NFL for the Steelers. He was a track standout at Wichita Southeast and KU as well, and he still holds KU's 100-meter dash record. Deb Tornaden, formerly Deb Peel, she was a runner for K-State, was the most outstanding performer at the 1984 Big 8 Conference Indoor Championships. She was a 4-time All-American at K-State. And Clifford Wiley was a member of the 1980 U.S. Olympic sprinting team. He competed at the University of Kansas. He was a world record holder, a World Cup champion, a 3-time U.S. champion, NCAA champion, and a 13-time All-American for the Jayhawks. That is your Kansas Sports Hall of Fame class of 2025. This group will be inducted on Saturday, August 2nd, right here in Topeka.
There you go. I got to follow that up with 2 Kansas State men's basketball players have entered the transfer portal, both after 1 season with the program. It started first this morning. Well, I guess that story has updated. I believe it started first this morning with
Onyensu was the first one. Yeah,
Gano Onyensu put his name into the portal this morning, and then followed a little bit later by a fall.
So the 2 bigs who got a bunch of hype. I mean, Onyensu was a Kentucky I think a former 5-star. By Fall was also a highly touted recruit. He came from Arkansas. I mean, let's just be blunt here, Spencer. They both stunk this year.
Yeah.
Like, they were not good for K-State. They didn't play a whole lot, and for a team that really needed size, they really could have used those 2 being a little bit better. So now,
I also thought at one point the plan was like one guy was going to redshirt.
Yeah, I think the expectation was Fall really wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
He needed kind of a developmental year, and now he's out the door. I don't know how much of this matter, how much of it is NIL, how much of it is, other opportunities or whatever. Guys have been in their ear. Who knows?
I saw something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the reporter's name. Somebody that covers Kansas State for one of their, their not affiliate, but one of the affiliated websites, not with Tim Fitzgerald, I don't think, saying that this was planned. Like that it was I'm
not shocked by it.
It was not like, hey, we're going to enter the portal. It's like, hey, you should enter the portal.
Yeah, and I mean, again, neither was good this year. So K-State now has lost Onyensu, has lost Buddy Rich, has lost by a Fall, and has lost Brendan Housen. We'll get to more on Brendan Housen here in just a minute. I think that is it, if I'm not mistaken here, Spencer. Have I missed anyone else?
Well, besides what's his face that left the program in the middle of this season.
Achor. Yes, that's a good call. Yes, he's also back in the portal. So yeah, Ryan Gilbert of Go PowerCat says this. From my understanding, the only guys that are for sure left and are expected to return include CJ Jones. We heard that the other day that he's planning to come back. Doug McDaniel, David Castillo, Moby Ike Gwaruka, and Taj Manning. That's not a good core, man. Like, if you're hyped for Castillo, fine. He was a pretty highly, even 4-star recruit. At one point was a 5-star, tailed off a little bit near the end of his high school days. But, he was a fairly well-touted recruit. Moby, obviously, crazy athlete, had some flashes. C.J. Jones, I think, is a nice bench piece. And Taj Manning's just a guy. And Doug McDaniel had a pretty good second half of the season, but there are, some... not a head case, I won't say that, but sometimes the attention to detail, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired. I'll put it that way for Doug McDaniel. I don't know, man. I'm a bit worried about this team going into next year. There are guys available. If you follow K-State basketball recruiting, word is that they're in on a couple of different guys who are European players playing the Euro League. So come over a little bit older, guys who have been playing against grown men for a couple years. Maybe that helps. I put me down as certifiably worried, though, for K-State going into next season. This core concerns me. Yeah. And it's so hard. We saw it this year, right? It is so hard to have to rebuild your team year after year after year. It is such a difficult thing to do.
And that's going to be the way of college sports going forward, honestly.
Yeah, sure feels like it, man. Mentioned Brendan Housen. Let's get to one more headline for me today. A couple of former local college basketball players have found new homes. From John Rothstein of CBS Sports and College Basketball Today, K-State transfer Brendan Housen is headed to Iowa, where he will play for Ben McCollum, averaged just under 11 points per game, made 93s this past season. Rothstein adds should be dynamite in Ben McCollum's system. I don't know if I would go as far as to say dynamite because McCollum's team does play some defense and Housen does not. But I mean, if he's going to be your sixth man for a team that shoots a lot of threes, I think that's a fine fit. So that's where Brendan Housen is going. Still kind of surprised he ended up leaving, but I mean, maybe he's just not buying into what K-State is selling right now. And if that's the case, like I said, I have kind of a hard time blaming him. Also, this one bewildering to me. From the Lawrence Journal-World and KU beat writer Henry Greenstein, Zach Clements announces his transfer to Texas A&M. What? I don't know about that one, Chief.
Is he gonna walk on at Texas A&M?
I mean, I imagine he's gonna, and it's a great fit for him because it's going to be it's buckyball. Remember from Samford a couple years ago, they nearly knocked off KU in the first round of the NCAA tournament back in the 2024 tournament when he was at Samford. And for Zach, he gets to play closer to home. He's from San Antonio originally, so he gets to play closer to home. That's nice for him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I've never spoken to Zach. I have no idea, and I wish him well. I certainly don't wish ill upon him or anything like that. He's one of the worst players for KU in the Bill Self era. I mean, it genuinely terrifying when he would touch the ball. He had one skill that was extremely useful his freshman season. Go stop Tanner Groves, an unathletic big man who didn't want to do anything but shoot threes, who had torched KU the previous year in the first round of the 2021 NCAA tournament when he was at Eastern Washington. Transfers to OU. Clements was kind of the stopper. Anything else? Yeah. Not a great fit for Zach. So I wish him the best, but Texas A&M, what are you doing? That's going to do it for today.
I got another quick one here. We didn't get to discuss it on Friday, but it was announced on Friday that Kansas State women's basketball Serena Sundell was going to be in attendance tonight at the WNBA draft in New York. She is projected, according to an ESPN mock draft, to go in the second round at number 18 overall to the Atlanta Dream. And then just a few picks later, the Chicago Sky are projected to pick Tamira Poindexter.
All right. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Good for Tamira and good for Serena. We've got to get to a timeout. We're back with the final word to wrap up a shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. Time for a quick final word before we get to Royals baseball. Spencer Dupuis, you're up.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier today. Nobody in the American League has more than 9 wins, and that's going to make the Royals sitting at 8-8 feel pretty good going into a big series in the Bronx tonight. And Seth Lugo going to be on the bump, so let's see what happens.
The Royals are coming up here. Pregame starts at the bottom of the hour. We'll get out of here in about 30 seconds, but I want to tell you right now, if you're a baseball fan and you're not including Cole Ragans in the group of the best pitchers in the American League, if not all of Major League Baseball right now, you're wrong, because he has absolutely earned that kind of recognition with the start of his season. We're back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Michael Swain will join us. We'll have the whole crew back together. Another short show tomorrow until 5:30. But until then, for Dan Lucero and for Spencer Dupuis, I'm Brendan Brzezinski. You've been listening to a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk.